If you feel like your body is working against you, if fat loss feels harder than it should, if you're doing everything right, still not seeing results, there may be one macronutrient you've never been taught to manage. One of the most significant, which is stress. Today on the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast.
Welcome to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast
with Garrett Williamson.
Health, wellness, exercise, nutrition, and a whole lot more. Got questions? Call us and leave a message at 251-278-EDGE or message us at Personal Edge Fitness on Facebook and Instagram, at Team PE on Twitter, or personaledgefitness.com.
Welcome back to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast. My name is Garrett Williamson, president of Personal Edge Fitness. And if you're just joining us, this episode is part of our series, The Lie of Age, Simplifying Fitness and Nutrition. In episode 1, we stripped nutrition back to 3 foundational elements. Number 1 is water. Number 2 is calories. Number 3 is protein. And we talked about why simplicity, not complexity, is what restores control and therefore consistency. Today we're building directly on that foundation, because even if you get those 3 things right, there's something that can still override all of them, and that's stress. Before we get started, I want to make sure you know how to get in touch with us. Now, if you have any questions about this episode, or questions about your own fitness or nutrition ideas for future podcasts, or just want to reach out, here's how to do it. You can call us at area code 251-278-3343. That's 251-278-EDGE, EDGE for Personal Edge Fitness, of course. You can email me directly at Garrett, Garrett, at personaledgefitness.com. That's Garrett like Levi Garrett. Our website is personaledgefitness.com, and you can always hit me up on X at Team PE. A lot of the topics we cover on this podcast come directly from questions people ask us, so don't hesitate to reach out. All right, let me take a second to kind of set the context here. Here's something important to understand. Your body doesn't express stress emotionally. It experiences stress chemically. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a saber-toothed tiger or a hostile work meeting. It doesn't know the difference between financial pressure and family conflict. Stress is stress. And something else, too. Your body chemically doesn't know the difference between financial pressure and the celebration of your wedding. Because believe it or not, that is stressful. It's good, but it's stressful. Stress is stress. And the body responds the same way every single time. Let's talk about what stress actually does to the body. When the body perceives stress, it activates the fight or flight response. And that response releases adrenaline and cortisol. It narrows the peripheral vision. It shuts down digestion. It suppresses immune and repair responses. Why? Because historically, stress meant immediate danger. It's how our bodies were built. And I always use a saber-toothed tiger analogy. If you saw a saber-toothed tiger, the body didn't care about muscle growth. It didn't care about fat loss. It could care less what was on the sides of you, because that's why your peripheral vision shuts down. It doesn't care about digestion. It doesn't care about hormone balance. It cared about one thing: survival. And survival required either fighting or running. And both of those are movement-based stress resolutions. And that's why your body is conserving, shutting down all those other things. It's conserving energy to fight or run. Now let's bring that to modern day. Not a whole lot of saber-toothed tigers out there. Here's the problem. Modern stress almost never gets resolved physically. You don't typically, nor are you encouraged to, you don't fight your boss. You don't run from your inbox. You sit. And when stress has nowhere to go, it lingers. Chronically elevated cortisol becomes the norm. And what does that do? What does elevated cortisol do? It impairs fat metabolism. Remember, fat metabolism shuts down with stress. It increases appetite and cravings. Not so much appetite as it does craving. It promotes fat storage, especially abdominal fat. The only reason I say that is that that's typically where the good Lord decided to place, especially in men, our fat. And it also interferes with sleep. It suppresses recovery and repair. Remember, not necessary during a stressful situation. This is why people say, I eat well, I exercise, but my body just won't respond. Often the body isn't resisting. It's protecting. Stress is causing it to protect itself. And why is stress what I call a macronutrient? We talk about macronutrients like protein, carbohydrates, fat. But stress behaves like a macronutrient because it alters energy utilization. It changes hormonal signaling. It affects cravings and metabolism. You can eat perfectly on paper, but if stress is unmanaged, the body will behave as if resources are scarce and danger is present. And in that state, the body does not lose fat easily. Why? Again, it shuts down that process during stress. It doesn't build muscle efficiently. It's stressed. It's not going to spend the energy building muscle. It doesn't repair tissue effectively because repair only happens when the body feels safe. Now, let me show you some research context to this. Large bodies of research, including work published in journals like Psychoneuroendocrinology, say that fast 3 times, and the Journal of Behavioral Medicine, show that chronic psychological stress directly interferes with metabolic health and weight regulation. Not because people lack discipline, but because stress changes physiology. This is why 2 people can eat the same diet, train the same way, and get radically different results. Context does matter. Now, let me show you why willpower tends to fail under stress. This is really important. Stress reduces activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making, impulse control, long-term planning, and many other things, but that's not a weakness. That's neuroscience. So when someone says, I just don't have willpower at night, what they're really saying is, I am neurologically depleted. That's why simplicity matters. The more complex the system, the more it collapses under stress. Now, why is movement so important? Well, remember the saber-toothed tiger? Stress used to end with movement. That's why walking, simple walking, is one of the most powerful stress regulators we have. Not because it burns a lot of calories, but because it tells the nervous system the threat has passed. Now, that's why if you listen to episode 1, you heard me tell the Coke at 2 o'clock story. And that's why we had the client go walk after their staff meeting what stressed them out so much. The walk didn't burn off the soda. It discharged the stress. And honestly, the one Coke was not wrecking her diet. There's no such thing as bad food. But we were teaching her to manage her stress. Quick reminder, if you're listening to this and realizing that explains a lot, and you have questions or want us to cover a specific topic, reach out to us. You can call us area code 251-278-3343. Email me at garrett@personaledgefitness.com. Message us on X @TeamPE. Many of those episodes, I've said this many times before, actually come directly from conversations with clients like you. All right, let's talk about stress and the lie of age. Obviously, you know I'm going to talk about that. One of the most damaging beliefs about aging is that decline is inevitable. It's a lie. But what actually declines first? What actually declines first is stress tolerance. And it has nothing to do with age. But because people stop moving, simplify less, and carry more unresolved stress year after year. That's not time. That's lifestyle. Stress accelerates decline. Calm supports repair. And repair is possible at any age at the same rate, speed, smell, color, sound, whatever. Let's talk about how this fits into the 4 different pillars. Just like nutrition, stress does not exist in isolation. It interacts with all 4 pillars of ability, which are fitness, nutrition, lifestyle, and the most important, which is mindset. You cannot out-train unmanaged stress. You cannot out-diet chronic stress. But when stress is addressed, even partially, everything else starts working better. This is why it's so important to look at stress if you're dealing with weight loss or weight gain. If you do nothing else, walk daily, breathe intentionally, simplify expectations, stop blaming food for stress or calling food good food and bad food because that is actually creating stress. Stress is not a personal failure. It's a physiological signal. Now, in the next episode, we're going to tackle another major lie. That is that some foods are bad. We'll talk about why there is no bad food, only bad patterns, and how removing judgment, probably the most key, is often the fastest path to consistency and health. Again, this is the lie of age, simplifying fitness and nutrition. It's also another way we help you reach your level of wellness, and we're just getting started.
Thanks for listening to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast with Garrett Williamson. Subscribe now and be a part of the show by calling 251-278-EDGE or message us on Facebook and Instagram at Personal Edge Fitness or at Team PE on Twitter, and visit us at personaledgefitness.com.
Did you know only 22% of 8th graders are proficient in civics? It's a statistic that affects all our futures. But Alabama's Liberty Learning Foundation is changing the headlines. We partner with schools to go beyond the textbook, teaching civics, character, and financial literacy in a way that empowers students to make a real impact in their own communities. Help Liberty Learning Foundation build the leaders Alabama needs. Join the movement today at libertylearning.org.